After marathon talks over the weekend, Italy's coalition government says it's come up with a new budget proposal, and it's confident it'll get the green light from Brussels.
We didn't turn our back on the Italian people. We work in the interest of Italians, and we consider it a very good proposal in the interest of Europe.
The proposal features a spending plan that would result in a deficit of 2.04% of GDP. That's higher than this year's deficit of 1.8%, but it's less than the 2.4% deficit the EU rejected in October. The European Commission says it's still in talks with Rome, but it's declined to say whether it wants more tweaks. Italy's ruling coalition wants to hike spending to pay for a basic income. It also wants to lower the retirement age. At $2.7 trillion, Italy's debt stands at 130% of domestic output. In the Eurozone, only Greece owes more money. But given France's recent decision to hike its own deficit, League Party chief and Deputy PM Matteo Salvini expects Brussels to be more lenient.
I have no doubt Brussels will apply the same common sense that we have applied, because if I realize there is prejudice against Italy and the Italians while they ignore others, then our tune will change.
Italy has until the end of the year to reach a deal with the European Union, and Rome's hoping its latest proposal is an offer Brussels won't refuse. Paolo Montecillo, TRT World.
Let's get more on Italy's budget showdown with the EU with TRT World Editor-at-large Craig Copetas in Paris. Hi Craig. So after weeks of staring down the EU, it looks like Italy's caved somewhat and is agreeing to compromise. But how big of a back down is this?
Well, Italy's going on a diet, Oscar. You know, and the second day of a diet is always easier than the first, because by the second day, you're off the diet. And that's what's going to happen with Italy after 2019. Once again, the EU and Italy, critics will charge, you're doing nothing but kicking the can down the road. What still seems up in the air here is whether they're going to do this tax on emissions, carbon emissions, because Fiat Chrysler had offered to spend $5 billion to invest in Italy on new plants and whatever, new jobs. And they said that if they went along with that tax, that they weren't going to invest the money in Italy because they didn't want to be spending more money on cars. So it's a big problem.
Yes, let's take a look at the math here, because Italy's revised budget really only adds up because of some of its growth projections. Now, it's saying that growth next year will come in at 1.5%, but the EU's latest official figures suggest it'll be more like 1.2%. So is Rome fudging the figures here in order to come up with something more palatable for Brussels?
There are three kinds of economists, those who can add and those who can't. And the only number here that really has any resonance or certainly long-term significance is Italy is paying $106 billion a year in interest on its national debt. And that figure is only going to grow. And whatever numbers Rome and or Brussels have been conjuring with, they've done nothing to cut back on those expenditures to pay the vigorish on the principal and indeed issue more bonds and increase the national debt. Kick the can down the road.
That's right. And it's interesting that Rome hasn't agreed to cut any of its social spending programs. So you wonder exactly where the savings are going to come from. But in light of all that, how do you think Brussels will react to this?
Well, the down and dirty on Brussels is the EU is 28 members, 28 central treasuries, 28 separate budgets, and the European Central Bank, unlike the Federal Reserve, has a very restricted mandate. The European Union has an awful lot of problems that it has to deal with. There's a lot of chaos there, and the chaos is not only fiscally. For example, this dysfunction. In a few weeks, Romania is going to assume the presidency of the European Union. Yet just a few days ago, the European Union told Romania it can't join the Schengen Treaty because the government is too corrupt. and that the largest concentration of EU financial fraud involving EU money is centered in Bulgaria, Hungary, and Romania.
Okay.
Now, these are all fiscal problems, and they trickle down.
Indeed. We'll have to leave it there, I'm afraid. But Craig Copetas in Paris, thank you as always.